Hi kids, today we're going to be using the distributive property to multiply. Here's what the distributive property says. It states that multiplying a sum by a number is the same as multiplying each add-in by the number and then adding the products. So that's a whole lot of words, and we're going to see exactly what that looks like. Let's look at what that is saying. So let's take, for example, 6 times 13. Here's what we can do with 6 times 13. We can take that and break apart the 13. And so we would have something that looks like this instead. So we would have 6 times, and then let's break apart the 13. We can break apart the 13 into 5 plus 8, like this. And then this would give us a new equation. So 6 times 13 is now 6 times 5 plus 8. And this 5 plus 8 comes from this part right here, this 5 plus 8, comes from this number 13, because we took the number 13 and we broke it apart into an addition sentence. That's what we did with that number. And we can continue working with this and show how we can solve for this. So now we would take this 6 times 5 piece here, and we would record that. So 6 times 5, and we would say that would equal 30. And we took the 6 times the 5 here and recorded it right there, 6 times 5, and showed that that was 30. Now we're going to do the same thing with the 6 times 8. 6 times 8 is going to be 48, and the 48 came from the 6 and the 8. We showed that the 6 now got multiplied by the 8. Okay, so we have 6 times 5 is 30, 6 times 8 is 48. Now what we want to do is take those two parts of the sums, the products, the products, the 30 and the 48, and we want to add them together. So we want to say 30 plus 48 equals 78. And this would be our product for 6 times 13. 6 times 13 equals 78. That is what we would do when we're using the distributive property. So 78 would be our product for 6 times 13. It would be our sum for the two parts, the two partial products for 6 times 5 and 6 times 8. And we can try that again using the same problem. Let's see how we can break apart the 13 a different way. Let's try that again. Okay, so here we have 6 times 13 again. We can actually break this apart a different way. So we can say the 13, it doesn't matter how you break apart the 13. So let's try to break it apart differently. Let's say we did 9 and 4. So we did 9 plus 4, because 9 plus 4 also equals 13. Let's do that. 9 plus 4. Now, we're going to do the exact same thing we did on this side over here. We're going to say 6 times 9 equals 54. And remember, let's pay attention to where that came from. It came from right here. This 6 times 9. So now we're going to do the 6 times the 4 right here next. That's what we're going to do next, is 6 times the 4. So we're going to have both of those pieces of the problem represented. So 6 times 4 equals 24. And now we're going to add 54 plus 24 equals 78. And as you can see, we still get the same product. 6 times 13 equals 78. It doesn't matter how you break apart the 13. Okay? So I'm going to give you a couple of other examples so that you can practice those examples in your journal. And we'll practice each example two different ways, just like you see here with 6 times 13. We have a distributive way of doing it here, 6 times 5 plus 8, and then we did it a different way over here, 6 times 9 plus 4. So I'm going to give you a few more to practice in your journal. Okay, why don't you work on trying 5 times 14, reference the examples for number 1, and see if you can come up with two different ways to distribute 5 times 14 and come up with your product. Go ahead and pause the video and work on these next two examples. Here's how I solved for this problem. I took the 14 and I broke it into 10 and 4. And so then I did 5 times 10 and 5 times 4. And then I proceeded with 50 and 20, added them together, get 70. Here I broke apart the 14 into 7 and 7. 5 times 7, 5 times 7. Whoops, it should be going towards the 5. Show 5 times 7, 5 times 7, which they're both 35. Then I added them together. So as you can see, you can break apart your factors in any way that you would like, and you will come out with that same product. So this is just us practicing how to distribute the factors into two parts, into sums, in order to be able to find the final product. So let's practice a few more of these problems in your journal. Work on these practice problems numbers 3 and 4. Reference the examples that we have already done and work these out in your journals. Bring your journals to school tomorrow and we will check through these problems together. Don't forget to do your whisk, and don't forget to leave me a note on that modal that says, Ms. Clemens, I have watched the video. See you in class tomorrow.